I mean, like, is there... I mean, in real life, as we call it, probably the greatest sports inspirational speech they would say, I would probably say, is Jim Telfer with the Lions that Will Greenwood spoke about the other week. You know, this is your Everest, lads.
Right.
What a line that is, you know what I mean? You're either going to climb it or you're not. That, for me, in a film, is the greatest sports speech ever. Yeah. Inches. When he talks about life being about inches, winning by inches.
This is when you've got someone, obviously, of His Majesty in charge of the entire thing, and when you've got someone who's obviously spent a lot of time doing Shakespeare, as Al Pacino did,
yes,
it comes in quite handy, doesn't it? And it did in 1999's Any Given Sunday. It doesn't feel that old.
It doesn't, does it? The name of the film is, of course, Any Given Sunday. It is a magnificent film. It's all about American football, but it gives the overall view. So it's about players, it's about the franchise system, it's about, you know, the pressure of American sports. It's got some absolutely sensational performances in it. Al Pacino plays Tony D'Amato, who is the grizzled veteran coach. Yeah. He could be a football manager. It's that classic sort of, like, you know, a man has been around the blocks many, many times. You know what I mean?
But he's got to that age as well where he physically fills the space of an NFL coach beautifully.
Absolutely. And I'm surprised there hasn't been a franchise named this, because the Miami Sharks, the brilliant name Miami Sharks, are an American football team. A brilliant performance by Cameron Diaz as an ambitious young owner.
Yeah.
I'm sure she came to Britain and sat through games with Miss Brady at West Ham to take in that, but she's fantastic in it because she wants to win.
It's patently a male-dominated world, and obviously this is over 20 years ago, so it'd been even more so. On the field of play, LL Cool J and Jamie Foxx are brilliant.
Superb.
Both both great actors anyway, but Bill Bellamy's also in there, the one-time stand-up comic. Jim Brown and Lawrence Taylor, LT, former players, they're part of the story. And I think what's important, John, about this is the point that you made there. It's the multifaceted tale of the NFL, and there's good reason, because of Oliver Stone directing it.
Oliver Stone.
The material, as he tends to do, is drawn from all manner of sources, including players' biographies, including a biography by an former NFL doctor. I think the book's called something like "It's Only a Bruise." Yeah, and I think we all know what that kind of means in the context of this. It's kind of horrible, isn't it?
Oh, so pretty, but it's. I mean, Dennis Quaid is sensational. Yeah. I mean, you just believe that he's this aging quarterback. Even the name Cap Rooney, Jack Cap Rooney, and he talks to. He talks to Al Pacino's character Tony about injuries and about playing, and obviously he gets concussed and he's getting to the end of his career. But there's also the pressure on them where, I mean, we see it in modern football now, where they're fantastically high-earning men, and then the tap suddenly goes off. You know, they say, this is the last big contract for me, and my kids are all in, you know, what they call public schools over there. And he says, you know, and it's all the pressures of being an aging player. And then you've got this brilliant young African-American quarterback who's obviously, you know, plays in a very specific way. Jamie Foxx, sensational as a Willie Beeman. You can't say without the advert, Willie Beeman. Yeah. She goes, I hate that advert. But his personality, and he's a maverick. But he's showbiz, isn't he?
Yeah, he's the new generation.
Absolutely.
He arrives as a brand.
Yes.
And that's very much kind of the heart of the problem with the story, isn't it? And you're watching the old school, you know, The King is Dead, Long Live the King with Dennis. And I forgot about that. Dennis Quaid, of course, gets to play a veteran in The Rookie when he's a veteran baseball player. Do you remember? He's a high school teacher and he goes back and plays a season of the big leagues.
Don't you? There's the one bit in the film I watched it again this week. Is a great moment in it where in American football, and I've got it a little bit through watching stuff like Last Chance U, all the stuff on Netflix, Texas is considered the hotbed of American football.
Like Friday Night Lights
and all that. It's got a similar reputation as you probably say in Britain, just to use an analogy, Merseyside, that kind of thing. You go there and you know you're going to be playing against crowds and teams that are going to put you under pressure from the start. So there's an amazing match scene where they go to Texas.
Yes.
And they end, and it's just physically so difficult for them to go there. And it sounds like I saying, they translate into our football, I suppose, where they have these speeches where they go, "You're in Texas tonight. Yeah. You know, if you're not on your mettle, you're going to be in trouble here."
You're in the belly of the beast.
Yeah, it's a wonderful way of explaining the sport to us, the culture of their sport as well.
And I think probably importantly about that is I don't know if sport has been better represented on the field of play than it is by Oliver Stone's images that he creates for this particular film.
It's amazing.
It's one of the first times you see kind of this POV version of it. You know, you're in the game with them, and you're nearly catching a ball, and the cut and thrust and the smell and the sweat and the noise is all there, and it's about as visceral as I think I've seen sport portrayed on film, which is a real bonus in this, because also it looks wonderful, doesn't it? It's all under perfectly. You've either got the light of Miami or you've got the stadium floodlights. Either way you look at it, it's just a beautiful experience to look at.
It's called Any Given Sunday. Please watch it. Like I said, sensational performances. I don't want to give away the ending, but it's got one of the best endings to a film ever.
It's because it's a
press conference.
You do not see it
You
coming.
do not see it coming.